let's talk about the news tonight and what's happened this past week. Some people see a connection between the president's rhetoric about invasions and things like that and the horrors of the last week. By the horrors, I mean the bombs being dropped at the media doorstep. I'm talking about 2 African Americans, guys being shot dead. I'm talking about the attack on that synagogue in Pittsburgh. The atmospherics. How much is this president responsible for those atmospherics?
The invitation to hate openly, unapologetically, to call Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals, to call asylum seekers animals, an infestation, to describe white nationalists, Klansmen, neo-Nazis as very fine people. That has certainly contributed to the environment that we see in this country at this moment. The challenge, though, is not to assess blame, but to try to lead by example. That's what I see here in Houston, the most diverse city in the United States of America. That's what I see in the people of Texas. And understanding that our very strength is premised that we are from all over the world, and we have come together here in the greatest nation that the world has ever known. We're going to shine through right now at this moment of division, this moment of polarization, this moment of smallness and pettiness and meanness. We're going to come through with our courage, with our confidence, with our strength. I know that because I've traveled the state. I've been with everyone. That's November 6th, you're going to see that in action.
We've seen leaders during times of great stress in this country and horror and tragedy. Bobby Kennedy, for example, after Dr. King was killed, that night he walked into Indianapolis and he talked to a black community and he appealed to them to understand common humanity and to try to get past this. Do you think if Trump acted like that, the country would be different? Can he act like that? Is he capable of it personally?
I don't think he's capable of it, but that doesn't have to limit who we are as a people. We are more than the president of the United States, the current occupant of the White House. I know that from traveling the state and finding Republicans who may have voted for Trump who don't approve of this kind of behavior, this kind of rhetoric that we're seeing nationally. I see people who want to be defined not by our fears, not who we're supposed to be scared of, but by our ambitions, our aspirations, the great things that we still want to do. This idea of walls or banning all people based on their religion, or the press as the enemy of the people, or tearing kids away from their parents at their most vulnerable or desperate moment. That's not us. That's not the United States of America. But in a democracy where the people are the government and the government is the people, it's on every single one of us to make that change. This election on the 6th of November is our chance to do that. And if the early voter turnout is any indication, the people of Texas are standing up to be counted and to make this change right now.
I just talked on the phone an hour ago to Congressman Joe Kennedy of Massachusetts, the grandson of Robert Kennedy, and he said that what separates you from other politicians he knows is that you basically don't worry about polls, you don't ask about opinion surveys, you don't check out how people are, where their heads are going. He said you have a faith in the goodness of the American people. Explain. To do the right thing.
Yeah. Our only poll is visiting the 254 counties of Texas, having town halls all over the place, never discriminating based on party affiliation or who you last voted for president, finding out how you want to come together and decide the future of this country. It's been the most inspiring, the most hopeful, the most thrilling, the most optimistic journey of my life, to be with the people of Texas all over the state of Texas. When you add to that having the courage of your convictions, never taking a poll to find out where you fall on an issue, not needing a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. You can say who you are, and the people know that. And if we owe those who will decide this election anything, it is our candor, it is our beliefs, it is listening to them and reflecting their stories out on the campaign trail and the service that we want to provide in the Senate.
You know, over the weekend, the president had an opportunity to do something like that. We had the horror at that synagogue, 11 people killed. A religious killing really was what it was. It was like out of the Middle Ages kind of thing, or the worst part of the 20th century. The president went right out on the stump, right on stirring things up again, blaming everything on a congresswoman from California or Nancy Pelosi. Why do you think he thinks that's a winner? Because he must think that's going to do something for him. Stirring it up.
I don't know why he thinks that. It's up to us, the people, to decide if it is a winning strategy. To blame the press, to blame migrants and refugees, to blame others.
It got him elected.
Yeah, it may have contributed to his election. But it's up to us to decide who we are. There's this great line from Harry Truman that the American people are founded not on fear, but on courage, on imagination, an unstoppable determination to do the job at hand. I think that still describes us. I believe our best days are yet ahead, that we don't have to return to some former greatness. We don't have to literally physically, through 2,000 miles of walls, separate ourselves from the rest of the world. We don't have to renege on our agreements, on our values, on the alliances that we have fought for and established and secured over the last 80 years. All of that is happening during this administration. That can either define us for the generations to come, or what we choose to do now at this defining midterm election. That might be how we are known for the people of the future, the kids, the grandkids, those kids and grandkids of generations yet unborn who will read about us, the people of 2018, and they'll say, in the face of all this smallness and all this fear and all this paranoia, these people stood up. They were counted. They did the right thing at the moment that history was calling for them. I love that I get to be a part of this, and that so many young people, especially at this defining moment of truth, are getting up there leading right now on any issue that you could care about, whether it's access to health care, affordability of higher education, meeting the existential challenge of climate change, or ensuring that every dreamer, more than 1 million strong in this country, no longer has to fear deportation because they're made U.S. citizens here in this country, continuing to make it the greatest place on the planet. That's what I hear from the people of Texas, especially the young people of Texas.
You mentioned Harry Truman, who was the first president to integrate U.S. military services. He really did have the guts to do the right thing. He brought all the units together, all the groups together, races. This president is talking about getting rid of the 14th Amendment effectively. He wants to get rid of birthright citizenship. So if you're born in this country under his hope decree, you won't be an American. What do you make of that? That's today. He's talking about that.
Interesting that he drops this proposal with a week to go until the November 6th election.
Who's he playing to?
Interesting that he tries to stoke paranoia and fear about a group of migrants who are still hundreds of miles, weeks away from the U.S.-Mexico border, if they even make it this far. I think he's trying to play upon the worst impulses of this country, instead of speaking to our ambitions, our hopes, our dreams, those things that we can achieve if we all come together.
Right.
So I don't know what he's trying to do. I just know the task left to us, which is to be the answer to that. Our courage, our confidence, our strength, that has to define us going forward. And it's up to us. And I love that we have the chance to do it. And I love all of the excitement, the enthusiasm, the energy that we're seeing out on the trail right now. It bodes very well for our answer to this moment.
And on the record, for the record, you oppose amending the United States Constitution, removing the 14th Amendment and the birthright citizenship.
Absolutely,
okay,
I do.
Thank you. We're going to take a question. A lot of student questions tonight.
Yeah.
Well, the first questioner is from Leeds University, a student who's got a question about our borders. I'm very much onto Andrea. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Congressman O'Rourke. It's a pleasure to be here before you. As one border native to another, I'd just like to ask you how you're going to address the issue of militarizing the border.
Yeah. This idea, Andrea, that we could send 5,000 U.S. service members to the border and somehow stop migrants, refugees, asylum seekers fleeing the most dangerous countries in the hemisphere, or that we could build a 2,000-mile wall at a cost of $30 billion, where we'd have to take someone's ranch or farm or property through the use of eminent domain to build something that we don't need at a time of record security and safety for border communities like mine in El Paso, perhaps yours, wherever you are on the border. It's ridiculous. And it's again this idea we can be governed by our fears, and then we are a very small people. Or we can be known by our ambitions. Remember the proud heritage of this defining immigrant story, state, and experience that is Texas. That's who we are. We can share with our friends and our colleagues in the Senate. El Paso is one of the safest cities in the United States of America, not in spite of, but because we are a city of immigrants. People left their hometown, their family, their comfort, their culture, their country to come here, start anew as strangers in a strange land. Si queremos asegurar nuestras comunidades, no necesitamos muros. Necesitamos tratar cada persona con respeto y dignidad. Gracias para su pregunta. Gracias, Andrea.
Thank you. I want to follow up with that because a lot of people on both sides of the immigration issue have been very passionate, but I want direction here. In 2013, the United States Senate did something remarkable. They passed a comprehensive bill on immigration. It had opportunities for path to citizenship. It was rigorous, but it was real. It was doable for a person who's not documented. They also had enforcement on E-Verify. You couldn't hire people illegally. It really was a comprehensive bill. And because of that, I think, 12 Republicans supported it, people like John McCain and Corcoran and Ted Kennedy on the Democratic side. It had a really good bipartisan. What did the Republicans do? The Speaker of the House refused to bring it up as a vote.
That's right.
If had that bill come up in the House of Representatives where you were serving, would you have voted for it?
I would have worked with my colleagues to improve it so that I could have voted for it.
What didn't you like about it?
Well, to Andrea's question, it had a significant militarization of the border. Now, if you live in Massachusetts or New York and you're going to put up walls and double the size of the Border Patrol from 20,000 agents today to 40,000 agents tomorrow, if you're going to change the quality of life for those of us who live in McAllen or Eagle Pass or El Paso or Del Rio, that's something that's important to us. I wanted to make sure that my voice, those constituents that I represent El Paso, were heard, and I'm confident that we could have improved that legislation.
Fantastic.
And yes, and move forward. That's the essence of our democracy.
By the way, I
Compromise,
got to challenge the
consensus,
president on
common
this. You're
ground.
the expert on this, but this thing about bringing 5,000 soldiers, the soldiers have no authorization to be engaged with border. What are they going to do down there? They're not allowed to, let alone shoot anybody like they're talking. But they say they won't do. Oh, we won't shoot anybody now. I mean, what are they doing there?
First of all, I think it dishonors the service of those Border Patrol agents, those men and women who are serving on the line right now, 20,000 strong, who are doing an incredible job. Let's get their back. I don't know that we need to send 5,000 service members. During the Clinton administration, there was an effort to militarize the border. Young Marine tragically shot a young U.S. citizen, 17-year-old goat herder named Ezekiel Hernandez in the back. Thought he was coming over to this country to do something wrong. That service member was not trained the way that Border Patrol agents are trained. He was trained for war. So let's make sure that we understand what could happen. Let's make sure that we understand the relative safety of the border right now, and let's come up with common sense bipartisan solutions to better secure that border, our communities, and our state. But it won't happen through walls and militarization.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.